Okay, welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling, right? Where maybe you've studied English for years, you can read complex stuff, write emails, no problem. But then when it comes to actually speaking, it's like, your mouth just freezes up.
Yeah. Or you know the answer in class.
Totally. You know it.
But you just can't say it. That fear of making a mistake just holds you back.
If that sounds like you, well, you're definitely not alone.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge hurdle for so many people. We saw that again and again in the sources we looked at for this deep dive. That hesitation, it can feel, well, almost impossible to overcome sometimes.
And that's exactly what we're tackling today. That's our mission. We've really gone through a stack of material, academic papers on language teaching, the theory stuff.
Right.
But also those viral YouTube lessons from really great teachers, plus loads of practical tips from experts. Our goal here is to kind of cut through all that noise and pull out the strategies that actually work, the ones that can really boost your confidence and help you, unlock your spoken English.
And what really jumped out almost immediately from page 1, it's this surprisingly simple idea that runs through pretty much everything. You can make really significant progress with just a small, consistent daily routine.
Just a little bit each day.
Exactly. One expert even compared it to watering a plant. A little bit every day makes a massive difference over time. It's about that regularity, not necessarily spending hours and hours.
Right, not intensity. So what does that actually look like for you listening? Well, first off, we're going to challenge some common ideas, maybe some myths, like this belief that you need this gigantic vocabulary before you can even dare to speak.
Or that perfect grammar is everything, especially at the start.
Yeah, that accuracy is more important than just getting your point across. We'll show you how you can weave some really effective practice into your normal day and why being consistent, even when you're on holiday, why that's so crucial.
Absolutely critical.
For building real confidence and making sure those skills don't just poof, disappear.
Yeah, that consistency, even if it's just, say, 15, 20 minutes a day, it keeps those English muscles working. The sources really hammer this home. It helps your memory. It builds that automatic response.
Automaticity, right?
Exactly. And it turns learning into just a normal habit, not some big task you dread. It helps you stay plugged into the language, basically, wherever you are.
Okay, so let's talk about dismantling that fear, that big wall. Our sources really zeroed in on this as the number one thing, that deep-seated fear of making mistakes. It's often the biggest block for non-native speakers, isn't it?
Totally. It leads people to just avoid speaking situations entirely, which is the opposite of what you need.
But what if? Yeah. What if the advice is actually don't worry about them? In fact, maybe even embrace mistakes. See them as powerful learning tools.
And this is where we see a really big shift in language teaching ideas. Academics call it the communicative approach. Forget the old way, where everything was about perfect grammar rules and drilling sounds in isolation.
Yeah, diagramming sentences.
Right. The real power, as the materials show, is understanding that your main goal isn't perfection. It's just, can you make yourself understood?
Can you get your message across?
Exactly.
Because that old way, the linguistic structure-centered approach, that often just fed the fear, didn't it?
It did. It focused purely on knowing the rules.
But the communicative approach, it says, look, language exists for a reason. Yeah. Communication.
Right. Use it.
Use it to express ideas, solve problems, do things in, real social situations.
And what's really interesting here is the focus on practical application. It's all about that. The idea is that you, the learner, should be able to respond to the context in terms of its communicative or functional property. That's the academic way of putting it.
Which basically means going beyond just memorizing words and rules.
Yeah. You have to actually struggle sometimes to communicate, and that's okay. Errors. Yeah. They're not just tolerated in this way of thinking. They're actually expected. They're part of learning.
Because the focus is on the message. Did they understand you? Mostly.
Yeah.
Great. So it's about making language active, not just something you passively absorb. Which brings us right back to that core idea. Small, consistent, daily practice. What were the really practical sources we found? It was called something like 10 easy ways to practice English with just 20 minutes a day. And it had concrete examples. Spend 5 minutes reading a short story out loud.
Using your voice?
Or play a song, read the lyrics along with it, or even just talk to yourself in the mirror. Sounds silly, maybe, but it builds confidence.
Oh, definitely. And other things that stood out were using flashcards, but actively, not just staring at them, saying the words out loud, quickly, focusing on how they fit in a sentence, not just the single word.
Right, context.
Yeah, or instead of just passively watching a short video, try writing down maybe 30 seconds of what they say. Transcription.
Ooh, that's a good one. Hard but good.
It really sharpens your listening and helps you pick up how people actually phrase things naturally. Language apps can make it fun too. And obviously chatting with friends or finding a language partner, invaluable.
Real life practice.
Always. The theme is just constantly little and often.
Little and often. Okay, love that. But the big question I think a lot of you listening might have is, okay, how do I do that? Especially if I'm practicing by myself. And our deep dive into experts like English with Lucy on YouTube gave some brilliant practical answers.
Yeah, she had some great stuff.
Like starting with tongue twisters. Just to warm up your mouth, practice sounds that might be tricky for you.
Like the B and P sounds or the D versus S.
Exactly.
Tongue twisters are fantastic for pronunciation because they force you to repeat those tricky sounds over and over. The trick is to start slow, get it right, then gradually speed up. You're literally training your mouth's muscles for English.
Your English-speaking muscles.
I like that. And that kind of repetition, as another source on oral fluency pointed out, is one of the best ways to get more fluent. But it's good to vary it, maybe change who you imagine you're talking to or why you're saying it, even if it's just in your head.
Right, which leads nicely into things like the explain it like I'm 5 exercise. Have you seen that one?
Oh yeah, that's a classic.
You take a topic, well, maybe something from work or a hobby, and you try to explain it really simply, like genuinely, for a 5-year-old.
Using only basic words.
Yes, like it forces you to be clear. There's that quote, often attributed to Einstein, if you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough.
It makes you boil things down to their core.
Which really tests your communication skills.
And that really puts the communicative approach into action, doesn't it? Using simple language to get an idea across. Then, almost the opposite, they also suggest things like storytelling with prompts. You grab a random picture or even just an object nearby and you create a short story about it out loud.
Making it up as you go.
Yeah, it gets your creative brain working, helps you practice narrative tenses, past, present, future, and maybe use more descriptive words.
Okay, so wait, 1 minute you're simplifying everything down for a kid, the next you're weaving these complex stories. How does that, isn't that a big contradictory if you're struggling with fluency?
Not really. It's actually quite clever. They target different things. Simplifying for the 5-year-old. That builds your core ability to just express basic ideas clearly and, importantly, quickly, using the fundamentals.
Okay.
Storytelling, though, that stretches your flexibility, your linguistic creativity. It pushes you to reach for more vocabulary, different sentence structures, but without the pressure of someone waiting for you to reply.
Less pressure.
Right, so it helps you practice generating longer stretches of speech more spontaneously.
Okay, I see. I like that distinction. My personal favorite from these solo practice ideas, though, I think, has to be the audio diary.
Oh, the audio diary is brilliant. So simple.
Yeah, you just, send like a 1-minute voice note to yourself on WhatsApp or whatever, just talking about your day, your thoughts, anything.
It's so practical, and the advice is great. If you get stuck on a word, just note it down in your own language, look it up later, and then try saying that sentence again in English.
Active learning right there.
Totally. And you can even use your phone's dictation feature, right? Speak into a notes app and see if it understands you.
Oh, clever. Like a little test.
Yeah. If your phone gets what you're saying, your clarity is probably pretty good. Plus, you build up this record. You can listen back in a few weeks or months and actually hear your progress.
That's incredibly motivating, I bet. Seeing or hearing how far you've come.
Definitely.
It makes English part of your daily routine, pushes you to use new words, and helps you practice stringing thoughts together coherently. And for people who are a bit more advanced, the idea of making your own little mini podcast or doing interview practice, that's great too.
Yeah, either preparing questions on a topic you're passionate about and recording yourself answering them.
Or pausing a real podcast or interview.
And answering the interviewer's question yourself out loud before you hear the guest's answer.
That really develops your ability to think on your feet and articulate clearly, doesn't it?
Absolutely, in real time.
Right.
Another advanced one was teach it. You basically pretend to teach someone else a skill or hobby you have, but entirely in English.
Forces you to really know your stuff.
Exactly. You have to understand it deeply to explain it well. It expands your vocabulary in a very practical area and improves your fluency. And again, recording yourself is key for spotting areas to improve.
Beyond just practicing alone, though, the sources really highlighted joining things like English-speaking clubs, or maybe online voice chats.
Oh, hugely transformative, getting that real-time interaction.
It helps with speaking and listening. You're surrounded by other people trying to do the same thing.
And if you can't find a group nearby, there are so many language exchange apps now. They can connect you with native speakers all over the world.
Find your tribe, basically.
Yeah. And remember, pronunciation. It's often easier to work on earlier rather than later. Recording yourself, again, is brilliant for hearing your own intonation, your rhythm, where you're putting the stress in words.
Things you might not notice otherwise.
Exactly. You can even use online tools that show you how words are pronounced in different accents, which is useful, right? Because you encounter different accents in the real world.
That's a great point. Adapting your ear. Okay, here's something really crucial that came up, highlighted brilliantly in one particular source. We sort of nicknamed it Dear Sir for this deep dive.
Ah, yes, that one was very direct.
Very direct. It warns strongly against a really common trap, translating directly from your native language in your head.
Right. Don't do it.
It calls it quicksand because you get stuck trying to find the perfect word-for-word match, and it just makes you hesitate and stumble.
English just flows differently, doesn't it? It has its own rhythm, its own common phrases. Direct translation often sounds, well, wrong or just unnatural.
So the focus needs to be on understanding directly in English and then speaking directly from that thought, bypassing the translation step.
Yes. As Dear Sir pointed out, think about common phrases like sorry or thank you. You probably don't translate those anymore, right?
No, they just come out.
Because you've used them so much, they're automatic. The goal is to get more and more of your English to that point. Thought straight to speech.
Okay, so how do we get it flowing like that? How do we build that automaticity?
Yeah.
One of the Dear Sir sections showed this really simple but seemingly very effective drilling technique.
The basic sentence types.
Yeah, it basically breaks English down into two main kinds of sentences. Those describing what something is or is like.
Like, I am happy, or she is a doctor, using the verb to be.
Right, and then sentences that describe action, which involves all the different tenses.
And the key insight there, even if you feel your grammar is pretty advanced, maybe you can read Shakespeare. The sources suggest that going back to these absolute basics, the simple isomer and waswer forms, is incredibly valuable.
It's not about learning them from scratch again.
No, not at all. It's about achieving lightning-fast automatic recall so fast that you don't have time to translate in your head.
Like rewiring your brain for English fluency.
Exactly. So you focus on the pronouns I, you, he, she, it, we, they, because most sentences start that way. Then you instantly add the right form of be, am, is, are, was, were, and then a simple description. Happy, doctor, shy, brave, whatever.
And the trick is the speed of practice.
Yes.
Doing them in sets.
Yes. Affirmative. I am happy. Negative. I am not happy. Question. Am I happy?
And then adding question words. Why am I happy?
Right.
How am I happy?
And you just drill them. Rapidly, almost like those tongue twisters, but for basic grammar structures.
That makes so much sense. And it lines up perfectly with other principles we saw for developing oral fluency, right? Like imposing time limits.
Yes. Forcing yourself or students to speak faster, to pause less. Even if you make more mistakes initially when you're speaking faster, that's actually considered more productive for building fluency than speaking very slowly and perfectly but hesitantly.
Get the flow going first, refine later.
Yeah. Pretty much. Repetition, deliberate, and fast is key. One source even detailed this exercise called the 4-3-2-minute speech. Students give the same short talk 3 times. First for 4 minutes, then 3, then 2.
Condensing it each time.
Yeah. They have to get faster, smoother, more efficient with the language they already know. It optimizes delivery.
Optimizing delivery of known material. That sounds important too. The sources also stressed using topics you actually know and care about, didn't they?
Oh, definitely. It's just naturally easier to speak more fluently about something familiar and interesting to you. Your brain isn't fighting on 2 fronts, struggling with the topic and the language at the same time.
Less cognitive load.
Exactly. And crucially, fluency develops best when you're actively using language you already kind of know, not constantly trying to force in brand new words you just learned 5 minutes ago.
Which is why that Dear Sir source really emphasized that everyday spoken English often uses pretty common, simple vocabulary.
Yeah, unlike maybe the harder words you need for academic tests or reading literature.
So build comfort and speed with the basics first, then expand.
That's the idea.
And speaking of speed and just getting words out, another core principle was simply increasing the amount of time you spend actually speaking. Seems obvious, but
But easily overlooked. Actively seek out chances. Work in pairs or small groups if you're in a class. Encourage everyone to just use English, even if it's imperfect.
Maybe even record casual chats.
Yeah, promote English use outside of formal lessons, and giving people, maybe yourself too, just a minute or two to think silently before speaking can really help.
Takes the pressure off a bit, lets you focus on getting the message out.
Right. It frees up mental energy for communication.
Okay, and one last key piece that seemed to tie a lot of this together.
The formulaic sequences.
Yes, teaching and learning those natural chunks of language. Collocations, set phrases.
Like, could you repeat that, please? Or, that's a good point, or, in my opinion.
Things native speakers use all the time without thinking.
Exactly. If you master these common phrases, you can kind of slot them into conversations automatically. It makes your speech sound much smoother, more natural, and it takes less effort. They're like little shortcuts to fluency.
Okay, so let's try and bring this all together then. Building fluency in spoken English. It's really not about finding the most expensive course, is it?
No.
Or cramming thousands of obscure words, or waiting until you know every single grammar rule perfectly before you open your mouth.
Definitely not. It's about consistent, active practice, making English a real, natural part of your daily life. Integrated.
Like that expert said, a 20-minute daily routine might seem small, but its cumulative impact can be truly huge.
Embrace those errors. See them as proof you're learning, you're trying, they're opportunities. Focus on the simple, common words for everyday chat first. You really don't need a massive vocabulary to communicate effectively.
And prioritize speaking, actively using the language. Way more than just translating in your head or passively reading or listening. Really engage with it, whether that's doing those quick drills, the isomer practice nice and fast.
Or recording yourself talking about your day. Tracking your own progress, hearing yourself improve.
Remember that powerful image we found in the sources. To truly speak English, you have to dry your throat.
Yeah, I like that one.
What does it mean? It means you got to use your voice. Engage those vocal cords.
Push past the fear.
Get the words out, even if they're not perfect at first. Because so often, the biggest thing holding you back isn't that you don't know enough.
It's the lack of consistent, brave vocal practice. Just doing it.
So make that commitment. Try it. Because as we've seen today from all these different angles, the words will start to flow.
They will.
And imagine how amazing, how much more confident you'll feel when they do.